Hello, students. Thank you for being patient and with me last week because I was really sick, but I'm doing much better now. So thank you for your patience and taking an extra day with Miss Wise last week. But we're going to continue today with our tech safety unit, and we're on section 3 right now. So in Google Classroom, you'll see that I've shared with you Tech Safety Notes section 3, which is types of computer threats. And we're going to talk about different types of device and computer threats today. You'll see in the notes I have some blanks here. You're going to fill in from my slideshow. In the slideshow, they will be underlined and highlighted as well. Okay? So let's get started today. So we talked about personal and information safety last time, but today we're going to start talking about computer safety and how to keep your devices safe from harm and hackers out there in the world. So let's talk about some basic vocabulary. The first term we're going to talk about is malware. The mal part of malware is Latin for bad or evil, and ware means software. It's a contraction. So it literally means bad or evil software. There's just no denying what it is. It's software written to purposely disrupt, disable, or damage a computer system or any device. Okay? So there's two types of malware, and we're going to talk about both of them eventually, but today we're going to focus on viruses. But the two types of malware that exist out there are viruses and spying software. And again, we're going to focus today specifically on viruses. So what is a computer virus? A computer virus is a program that is loaded or installed to your computer without your knowledge and runs against your wishes. So again, this should be the blank you're filling in here. If you didn't fill in any of those in the past, go back and start over again. So it's something you install that you really didn't know what it was, or it came like bundled with something else. My nephew actually was downloading a mod for Minecraft a couple years ago and actually installed a computer virus on my home desktop computer because he didn't realize it was infected when he downloaded it from the internet. So we're eventually going to talk about ways to prevent that, but we're going to talk about what these threats are today. So what are some harmful consequences if you have a computer virus? How do you know if you have one? So you'll see things like your computer slowing down. It just starts all of a sudden to get really slow and it's taking forever to get stuff done. Some of your files will get corrupted or deleted. You can't find stuff. Sometimes it'll take over control of your computer and somebody else will be using your computer without you realizing it, which is crazy. So let's talk about first, what are some facts about computer viruses? All computer viruses are man-made. They do not occur naturally in the world like regular viruses, like the COVID viruses. We're going to assume that's, a naturally occurring virus, not man-made. But all computer viruses are man-made. So a coder, somebody who knows coding and programming, actually sat down at their computer and created each virus. And there's thousands and thousands of computer programmers around the world who do this either because it's fun or because they want to show people that they're smarter than they are, or they want to get back at people, or they're doing it for some other reason, like making money, which we're going to talk about that later. So they are all made by people, okay? Most viruses, but not all, but most need a human to do something to infect your computer in the first place. So you have to click on something, you have to download a picture, you have to watch a video, you have to install a program, you have to do something to install that computer virus to your computer or device. On average, 6,000 new viruses are created every single month. That's a lot of new viruses to keep up with constantly, and it's that doesn't mean the old ones go away either. They just get added and added. There's millions and millions of viruses out there. And any device that is connected to another device can be infected with a computer virus. So either through the internet or through a USB connection, if it's connected to another device, it could be infected. The only computers that will never get a computer virus is if they're standalone computers that are not connected to the internet at all and are never connected to another device. So there's a few out there in the world, but usually we don't have any of those that we use on a daily basis. We like our internet. And viruses usually cannot damage the hardware itself, only the software on the device. So it's damaging code. It's not damaging like your hard drive or your RAM or anything like that. There are very few, very rare viruses that will do things like turn off your heat controller, so your temperature on your device overheats and that could damage your device. I've been working with computers for 25 years now. I've never actually seen one of those type of viruses. I've read about them, but we've never experienced anything like that on a normal basis in a school. Okay, so you don't have to worry about those type of viruses. The next type of virus, so one specific type of virus is something called a self-replicating virus. So what does that mean? It means it makes a copy of itself over and over again. So it's just making copies. And it's dangerous because it's quickly going to take up all the available memory on your computer, all the hard drive on your computer. So you have no room for anything to run on your computer. So one of these types of self-replicating viruses is a worm, which is a crazy term. I know they're all crazy terms, but this one, if you imagine it as like these flying worms through the air that go from computer to computer to computer, and they just keep making copies of themselves on your computer and then sending themselves out through your email service or your instant messaging services. And they will float through the internet to other devices very easily. Worms are not usually dangerous to your computer, but what they do is they cause a lot of traffic on your computer and on your network. So typically when you have a worm, they tend to slow down the internet traffic, usually on a specific network or on a specific website. And I'm sorry, they're also used in DOS attacks, which we're going to talk about next. So worms are one of the, again, they don't really damage anything, but they cause traffic jams. Okay, so what is a DOS attack? A DOS attack stands for denial of service attack. And there's a lot of varieties of these, but we're not going to get into all the nitty-gritty details of that. This is, again, when so much internet traffic is purposely caused to shut down a website or a web service. And this is actually, sometimes they use worms or other types of like computer viruses to do this. And a lot of hacktivist groups, such as Anonymous, they use DOS attacks as a way of attacking specific groups. So, for instance, a group Anonymous sent a DOS attack out several years ago to the Pentagon of the United States. And it wasn't taking down the Pentagon's like internal servers or network or anything like that. It was against their like website, the Pentagon.gov. Which really doesn't have any like mission critical information. It's more like informing the public what their mission is. So it really didn't hurt anything, but they took down they sent a denial of service attack, which basically closed down that website for a matter of a few days. They also did another one a couple years ago after the Sandy Hook shooting, where a lot of young children were killed in elementary schools by a shooter. The Westboro Baptist Church, which really isn't a church, it's more of a cult, they were picketing the funerals of young children saying that all these school shootings are caused because our culture is allowing homosexuality in our society. They're kind of a crazy group. So Anonymous took down the Westboro Baptist Church's website and actually released some information to law enforcement about what they were doing illegally, which actually got a few of them arrested as well. But denial of service attacks basically shuts down a lot of the websites or a web service. Even map testing a couple years ago, I remember getting a lot. We couldn't get into test a couple days because somebody was doing a denial of service attack against the map testing website so that students couldn't get into test. And again, didn't cause a lot of damage to the site itself. It just caused a traffic jam so no one's good traffic could get through. All right, so a different type of virus that you might have heard about is a Trojan virus, which, yes, laugh, giggle to yourself, ha ha ha, but there's a reason they're called Trojan viruses. They're named after the Trojan horse from Greek myth. And if you haven't heard the story from Mrs. Sternad when you were in middle school, because she likes to talk about it, but basically the story is that a Greek army was fighting the city of Troy in Greece, and the city of Troy had this amazing wall that was impenetrable by the Greek forces. So the Greek army had to get really sneaky. So what they did is they built a huge wooden horse, like a statue, and left it on the gates of Troy and said, look, you beat us. We can't beat you. We give up. Here's a gift. And we're leaving. And they pretended to leave the area, and they left on their ships. And the Trojan army opened the gates, and they brought in this horse statue, and then they partied because they thought they won this huge victory battle against the Greeks. And so everybody partied hard, and while they were all sleeping that night after drinking a little too much, Greek soldiers had been hidden inside the horse statue. A few soldiers, and they snuck out while everybody was sleeping and opened the gates to the city of Troy. And by that point, all the Greek armies had sailed back, and they walked right in through the gates of Troy and decimated the city to the point where the city of Troy no longer exists anywhere, but the Greeks do. So that is what a Trojan virus does. You think you're getting something good, but you're really going to get slaughtered in the long run. And this is how it happens. A file, you might see a file that is pretending to be one thing. Maybe you think it's a game, or it's a picture file, or a link to a funny YouTube video. But as soon as you install it on your computer, it is actually going to install the virus on your computer as well, or instead of. So it seems like a useful file, but in actuality, it's going to be damaging once it's installed on your device. And it could be anything: a video, a picture, software, a game, a little snake game. Doesn't matter. Okay. So that's why games like on any app that you get from the Apple App Store for your phone or tablet, or the Android App Store, those have to be pre-approved by Apple or Google first before they could be installed, which means they have checked for things like Trojans on them. Whereas when you install something to your Windows computer or even your Mac computer, it has not been thoroughly checked by somebody else, by an expert, to make sure it's not infected with a virus like a Trojan virus. So that's why we've locked down your computers, so that you cannot install stuff. So what happens when you get a Trojan virus? It could depend on the virus. Sometimes they're just really annoying. Sometimes they're very malicious and want to destroy all your data and files on your computer. And sometimes they want to totally destruct everything on your computer, everything you've ever done on your computer. I've had all of these happen to me in the last 25 years. And Trojan viruses in particular are extremely hard to get off of your computer. They could also create a back door to your computer for a hacker to come into your computer to take it over and use it for like a denial of service attack or to send worms out. And they could be, like I said, very hard to clean off of your computer. Usually the only way to fix it is to re-image your computer, which means we basically erase everything on your computer and go back to day one like you got it the first day, which sucks because that means all your pictures and your wallpapers and all your settings are all changed back. It could be really time consuming and it could be really annoying. And it also means that you're going to lose data on your computer if you didn't back it up to somewhere like Google Docs or Dropbox or something like that. Another type of computer virus is something called ransomware. And ransomware is kind of similar to a Trojan virus. It's a form of malware that once you have it on, you get it installed on your computer, it threatens you with harm of your data. Or basically, they're going to kidnap your data and your computer so that you can't use it until you pay them money. Almost like a kidnapper would if they steal somebody. The attacker demands a ransom from the victim, promising to restore access to your data when you pay. But they're not always truthful about that, which means they could be lying. The ransomware attacks, I've seen a lot of them over the years. I luckily have not fallen for them, but I've had several family members and friends, especially older people who are not kind of tech savvy, fall for them. And it could be anything. So how do you get ransomware on your devices? Sometimes they come like in a pop-up or a link or an email masquerading as a file you should trust, just like a Trojan virus. But once they're downloaded and open, they could take over your computer and basically give a hacker total control over your computer. And there's even a few varieties of ransomware out there, which basically, if you don't update your Windows updates regularly or your Apple updates, you don't even need to install stuff. They could just remotely take over control of your computer. But usually they're tricking you into being installed or opening them or clicking on them before you could do anything. Okay, so we're going to stop right there today, guys, okay? And I don't know if you guys realize this. Today is Monday, May 4th, but today is Star Wars Day, because May the 4th be with you. So if you get a chance today, maybe watch a Star Wars movie later and celebrate, Wookiee Life Day or other Star Wars stuff. So I'm wearing my R2-D2 dress today in celebration of Star Wars Day. I'll be looking forward to seeing how you guys celebrate Star Wars Day today too. All right, look in Google Classroom and I will have other activities for you to do tomorrow as well. Okay, thanks. Have a great day.